On the occasion of our 20th anniversary, my unfaithful wife tainted my drink. I switched our cups and exacted my true revenge. Daniel Brooks stood still in his kitchen, the serene morning shattered by the sudden ping of a notification. Amanda's tablet glowed softly against the cool surface of the granite counter. The sound of the shower running upstairs lingered in the air. She consistently devoted a full 10 minutes to that extravagant coconut shampoo. The message preview illuminated the screen. Send another $2,000, or your husband will uncover your hidden truth. Daniel's coffee mug struck the counter with a resounding thud. After 3 days away on a logistics mission to Nellis, he returned to find that $5,000 had mysteriously disappeared from their joint account. Serendipity? Merely assisting Sarah with her rent, Amanda had remarked that morning, avoiding his gaze. Spouses of service members stand united, always watching over one another. Yet Daniel was well acquainted with each military wife in their circle. Sarah was nowhere to be found. The tablet vibrated once more. "Do not provoke me. Amanda, I possess evidence." Daniel committed the phone number to memory, including the local area code. He retreated as the sound of the shower ceased from above. "Sweetheart." Amanda's voice floated down. "Did you utter a word?" Engaged in a quiet conversation with myself, Daniel returned the call, his voice revealing nothing of his thoughts. "The coffee awaits your arrival," as he heard her footsteps echoing from above. Daniel began to strategize, meticulously, as he had been taught. As dawn broke over Peterson Air Force Base, Daniel meticulously laid out 6 months' worth of bank statements across his desk. The sequence unfolded distinctly, beginning with modest transfers to ST services, which gradually escalated to more substantial sums. The $5,000 withdrawal from last week finalized the scene. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. "Amanda is off to lunch with the girls and will return around 3. Love you." Daniel reached out to his friend in IT, Marcus. "I require a compact GPS tracker, one that meets military-grade standards." 20 minutes later, Daniel carefully placed a quarter-sized device into Amanda's oversized leather keychain. She had never been aware of the additional burden. That evening, Amanda exhibited an unusual level of attentiveness, preparing his favorite meal, adorned in that striking blue dress, her hand brushing against his arm with a frequency that felt almost deliberate. A classic display of deflection. "How was your day?" she inquired, pouring more wine into his glass. "What does your routine look like?" The familiar theatrics of the Wives' Club unfolded once more, her laughter ringing hollow and contrived. "At times, I ponder that we are merely pretending to create a home," as Daniel examined her expression. "Is everything as it should be, Amanda?" A shadow of fear danced across her features before a smile blossomed once more. "Certainly. What prompts the question?" "I find myself curious. Is there something you wish to share with me?" Amanda's hand quivered slightly as she extended it toward her glass of water. "What do you mean? Why are you being untruthful about the money?" The stillness extended, taut and poised, like a hidden trap waiting to snap. Amanda's breath grew shallow. "I don't understand what you're saying," she murmured. "Once more, I implore you. Where has the money vanished to?" Amanda's eyes brimmed with genuine tears this time. "The situation is intricate." With simplicity, she rose suddenly. "I am unable to do so at this moment. I ask for your trust in me." "Trust?" A sudden edge sliced through Daniel's voice. "Trust is something that must be earned. Amanda. At this moment, you are depleting that account as well." She ascended the stairs in haste, abandoning Daniel to his strategic deliberations. The first phase has been successfully concluded. Surveillance had now arrived. The GPS tracker unveiled a vivid narrative over the course of the following week. Usual routines: the commissary nail salon, Starbucks, with the exception of Tuesday afternoons. Daniel observed the blinking dot as it made its way to the Desert Winds Motel, pausing there for precisely 2 hours and 17 minutes. Thursday, yet again, the same routine unfolds. On Friday, Daniel decided to take a half day and made the journey himself. He maneuvered his vehicle to a spot nestled behind the towering semi-trucks and settled in, anticipation hanging in the air. At precisely 2:47 p.m., Amanda's pristine white Camry glided into view, closely trailed by a sleek black Chevy Silverado. Daniel identified the driver, David Tripp, a defense contractor specializing in base supply logistics. He is married to Megan, around Daniel's age, possessing an easy smile that likely helped him evade speeding tickets. David approached Amanda's car, bent slightly, and pressed his lips to hers. Unwelcoming, acquainted, and yearning. Daniel clutched the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles paling, yet he remained still. He stood there, a silent observer, as his wife and her lover entered room 127, the door closing softly behind them. After 2 hours and 23 minutes, they finally emerged. Once more, their lips met in a fleeting embrace before Amanda pulled away, leaving David to grapple with a growing sense of urgency as he dialed the phone. Daniel lingered in the shadows until both vehicles had departed, then made his way to the motel office. The clerk bore the weight of weary suspicion, his eyes sharp and his teeth a shade of yellowed neglect. "How may I assist you?" Daniel displayed his military ID, inquiring about anyone who may have stayed here on Tuesday. "Is this a matter of official business?" The woman's demeanor transformed. "What type of official matters are we discussing? The sort that offers greater rewards than the compensation you're receiving to remain silent?" Daniel set a $50 bill on the counter. On a Tuesday afternoon, in room 127. The woman discreetly concealed the $50 bill in her palm. David Tripp opts for cash payments at a weekly rate. For 3 months, it has been the same blonde, day in and day out. On Tuesday and Thursday, they arrive with the precision of clockwork, occasionally making an appearance on Friday as well. Daniel gave a slight nod before turning to depart. As Daniel strolled toward his car, a sense of purpose enveloped him. The adversary had been recognized. The terrain of conflict laid bare, a shadow loomed over his wife's life, as someone sought to exploit her vulnerabilities through blackmail. A person familiar with David. A person methodically depleting their funds. Daniel was determined to uncover the truth behind it all. Daniel dedicated the weekend to his office, meticulously disseminating intelligence as if arranging strategic pieces on a chessboard. Financial records, location tracking information, images capturing David's vehicle registration. A significant revelation emerged from the meticulous cross-referencing of ST services alongside David's background. David Tripp, united in marriage to Megan and Tripp, associated with ST services and known as Megan Tripp. Daniel accessed Megan's social media profile, a Pilates instructor, a connoisseur of fine wines, and a dedicated military spouse, as portrayed on Instagram. However, the latest entries carried a certain sharpness. Subtle yet pointed reflections on the themes of loyalty and betrayal. Images showcasing lavish acquisitions accompanied by reflections on self-care and fresh starts. A woman amidst the crumbling fragments of her life, resolutely battling to reclaim her strength. On a Monday morning, Daniel obtained David's employment records via base security. Falcon Ridge subdivision, a mere 20 minutes from the base. Charming residences, pristine gardens, a magnet proclaiming support for our troops affixed to the mailbox. Daniel navigated the evening streets, observing the layout, the patterns of the roads, and the hidden blind spots. And the driveway sat Megan's pristine white Mercedes, gleaming under the sunlight. 20 minutes later, Megan stepped out clad in yoga pants and a tank top. Daniel trailed behind her to a quaint coffee shop named Grounded. Megan found herself nestled in solitude at a corner table. The laptop is aglow, fingers dancing across the keys with fervor. Daniel requested a cup of black coffee and adjusted his seat to catch a glimpse of her screen. She was crafting an email. Final payment notification. Daniel captured shards. "I warned you that this would come to a close. My patience has run its course. Repercussions await for both parties involved." After Megan departed, she made her way to FedEx, where she lingered at a computer terminal for a brief 10 minutes, ultimately emerging with a modest package in hand. Daniel made his way toward the young clerk. "Is there a discount available for military personnel?" He presented his identification. "Indeed, sir. How may I assist you today?" Did the blonde woman who just departed, driving a Mercedes, print anything? The clerk appeared anxious. "I'm unable to delve into that topic. Daniel inched forward. Curiosity etched across his face. She is engaged in a security issue. I simply require clarification on the types of documents needed. Photos? The clerk uttered, a hint of hesitation in their voice. Perhaps 30 or 40 prints accompanied by a certain type of letter. Daniel nodded, his heart racing as he departed. Images, correspondence, concluding transaction. Megan Tripp was not merely blackmailing Amanda. She was intensifying the situation. Tuesday dawned, the sky heavy with storm clouds gathering ominously over the mountains. Daniel perched outside the Desert Winds Motel, his gaze fixed through the lenses of binoculars. Amanda was the first to arrive, her agitation unmistakable. As David's Silverado arrived, the exchange through her window appeared to be intense. David waved his hands in a flurry, his head shaking in disbelief. Amanda wept softly. At last, they stepped through the threshold. Daniel lingered for a quarter of an hour before making his way to the office. The same clerk stood behind the counter. Today, they're engaged in a battle, she remarked unprompted. Whom might one inquire about? Her golden locks and the man by her side. Typically affectionate, yet today they are clashing like fierce adversaries. Daniel passed her another 50. I must draw nearer. Which room is adjacent to 127? 126 stands vacant, yet I find myself unable to simply proceed. You can and you will, Daniel declared with an air of commanding authority. What about national security? The air in room 126 was thick with the acrid scent of cigarettes mingling with the sharp tang of industrial cleaner. Daniel leaned against the neighboring wall, straining to hear. The voices, though muted, could still be heard. I warned you this would happen. David's voice echoed, laced with anger and desperation. You claimed she was merely bluffing. Amanda, caught in a whirlwind of tears and rage. How could I have possibly known she possessed those photos? Goodness, Amanda, she has been trailing us for months. What shall we do next? She demands $10,000 or she will forward everything to Daniel. Engage with her, deceive her, convince her that our romantic ties have faded away. She will not cease at 10,000. This marks merely the onset of a grand journey. Footsteps echoed, followed by Amanda's voice, sharp and measured in a manner Daniel had never encountered before. Then we shall halt her first. What do you mean? David asked after a moment of contemplation. We ensure that she can no longer inflict harm upon us. Amanda, surely you jest. Absolutely serious. If she wants to engage in games, so be it. However, I am not sacrificing everything simply because your wife struggles to cope with infidelity. Daniel felt a chill seep into his veins. He sat in the dim light, absorbing the chilling conversation as his wife orchestrated someone's demise in a rundown motel room, her lover's voice mingling with her own in a sinister discussion of eternal silence. Daniel quietly emerged, his legs unsteady as he made his way to the car. All that he believed he understood about Amanda was disintegrating before his eyes. His phone vibrated with a sudden urgency. Amanda, I'll be burning the midnight oil tonight, so don't wait for me. Daniel replied with a casual assurance, no problem. As he navigated the familiar roads toward home, Daniel's mind was a whirlwind of strategies and possibilities for his next move. He found himself entangled in something far more complex than a mere affair. He found himself entangled in a web of conspiracy. Should Amanda and David be plotting against Megan, Daniel had to move swiftly, not to salvage a marriage that had already reached its conclusion, but to preserve a life and guarantee justice. Daniel's house exuded an air of foreboding, reminiscent of a crime scene. Every well-known object now appeared as a testament to deception. He poured himself a glass of bourbon and delved into an extensive exploration of Megan Tripp as per Instagram. She instructed Pilates at Serenity Fitness, holding a class each Tuesday at 7 p.m. The clock struck 6:15. Daniel seized his keys. He lingered in the parking lot, patiently biding his time as the class Daniel to a close and students began to emerge one by one. Megan trailed behind, her yoga mat and water bottle in tow, embodying a weary elegance as she moved. Madam Tripp? She whirled around, a defensive posture evident. Yes? Daniel entered the glow of the neon light. I am Daniel Brooks, and it is imperative that we have a conversation. A glimmer of recognition ignited, swiftly overshadowed by a wave of fear. I am uncertain of your identity. My wife, your husband, the funds you've been insisting upon, the images you've been menacingly poised to unveil. Just 2 hours ago, I found myself eavesdropping on a conversation at the Desert Winds Motel. Megan's complexion drained, her eyes darting in search of an exit. Are you concealing any listening devices? Indeed, I have come to deliver a cautionary message. What should I be cautioned about? Daniel moved in nearer, observing the tremor in her hands. Amanda and David are scheming to inflict harm upon you, with intentions that are gravely serious. They will not continue to provide financial support, nor will they allow you to persist in your threats. Megan's laughter carried a tinge of bitterness. So, you've come to rescue me, the woman who's been holding your wife hostage with secrets? I stand ready to shield another from harm's embrace. The ensuing matters between you and them will be determined by the legal professionals and the judicial system. You don't understand, Megan said, her tears streaming down her cheeks. For months, he has woven a web of deceit, returning home cloaked in the scent of her perfume, squandering our finances on lavish hotels and extravagant gifts. I discovered the credit card statements and traced their path. I captured moments, and you chose to have Amanda bear the cost rather than ending things with him? Ending our marriage won't restore the 3 years I spent entrapped in his deceptions. The sting of humiliation lingers, knowing that half the base wives were chuckling behind my back. She halted, tears streaming down her face. All facade vanished. Daniel paused, allowing her breath to find its rhythm once more. What is the total amount you have gathered? 12,000, she murmured softly. I intended to request 10 additional and then cease. I merely wished for them to experience a touch of suffering, to grasp the sensation of losing something they held dear. Bravo, you have triumphed. Yet now, the conversation has shifted towards ensuring that you can no longer inflict harm upon them. I doubt that their intentions revolve around financial gain. Megan gazed upward, her eyes tinged with a crimson hue around the edges. Could you clarify what you mean? You must visit the police this evening. Reveal it all, the affair, the blackmail, the threats. Document it before circumstances change. Yet, I fear I may find myself in handcuffs for extortion. Perhaps. Yet you will still be here to confront those accusations. Daniel retrieved a business card and inscribed his cell number upon it. When you speak with the police, inform them that I am prepared to testify regarding what I overheard today. The discussion surrounding the intent to stop you for good. With fingers quivering in anticipation, Megan grasped the card. What compels you to offer your assistance? I have been causing distress to your wife. Daniel gazed upon the shattered figure of a woman, pushed to the brink by the sting of betrayal. No one is worthy of the fate they are scheming. At times, the importance of doing what is right outweighs the bonds of personal loyalty. He began to walk away, but then hesitated. Mrs. Tripp, should you choose not to approach the police this evening, I shall take it upon myself to do so, and I shall reveal all that I know concerning each of you three. Daniel navigated the winding road, the tempest brewing ominously around him. Upon arriving at his driveway, he found that Amanda's car was absent. The GPS indicated that she was at David's residence. At 11:47 p.m., the phone began to ring. Captain Halstead? Detective Maria Santos of the Colorado Springs Police Department here. We recently engaged in a rather intriguing discussion with Megan Tripp. Did she mention that you recommended she reach out to us? Indeed. Please make your way in tomorrow morning. Serious allegations loom, and your testimony may hold significant weight. Daniel gazed out at the relentless rain hammering against the windows. That I shall be present. There is yet another matter to discuss, Captain. Where is your wife this evening? Daniel consulted the GPS. Amanda's lingered at David's house. I suspect she is in the company of the other individual mentioned in Mrs. Tripp's grievance. David Tripp? Indeed. Halt. Captain, a patrol car is being dispatched for a wellness check on Mrs. Tripp. From what she has shared with us, it appears she could be facing imminent peril. Your insight is commendable, Detective. Daniel lingered in the shadows until the first light of dawn, his gaze fixed on the flickering GPS that marked his wife's location at David's house. As the sun finally ascended, casting a golden and crimson hue upon the storm clouds, Amanda remained absent from home. Daniel came to the stark realization that he was on the brink of losing everything he had painstakingly constructed in his life. Yet, after what felt like an eternity, he finally found the air to fill his lungs. The interview room of the Colorado Springs PD was permeated by the acrid scent of burnt coffee mingling with the sharpness of disinfectant. Detective Santos possessed a compact frame, his intelligent eyes reflecting a no-nonsense demeanor that commanded respect. "From the beginning, Captain Halstead," she said as she activated a recorder. "At what moment did you first realize that your wife was involved in an affair?" Daniel narrated each detail with precision and care. Funds unaccounted for, cryptic communications, watchful eyes, the exchange at the motel. Santos jotted down notes, interjecting for clarification now and then, yet predominantly immersed in attentive listening. "Do you truly think that Mrs. Amanda Hayes and Mr. David Tripp intended to inflict physical harm upon Mrs. Megan Tripp? From the dialogue I overheard, indeed. Amanda explicitly stated that they had to intervene before her, refusing to allow Megan to ruin her existence. David appeared hesitant, yet he made no effort to dissuade her from her decision." Santos perused his notes with intent. "Last night, just as the clock struck 10, Mrs. Megan Tripp made her entrance. She furnished a wealth of documentation, including bank records, photographs, email correspondence, and unsettling text messages from the previous evening. Originating from Amanda, an unidentified number bears a menacing message. Cease your actions immediately or prepare to confront the repercussions. Your actions have crossed a line. There are those who fail to recognize the moment to step back. We are currently tracking the number, but it seems to be associated with a disposable phone." Daniel was enveloped in a chilling sense of inevitability. Where might my wife be at this moment? Uncertainty lingers in the air. Early this morning, patrol units arrived at both your home and Mr. Tripp's residence. Neither location displayed any signs of occupancy. Both vehicles are unaccounted for. They are in motion. That is our evaluation. Bolos have been issued for both individuals and vehicles. Units are also deployed to safeguard Mrs. Tripp. She has consented to collaborate wholeheartedly. Santos inclined his body, drawing closer. "Last inquiry. Would you be prepared to provide testimony against your wife should this matter proceed to trial?" Daniel gazed at his wedding ring, then, with a deliberate slowness, removed it and placed it gently on the table. "Indeed, I shall bear witness to all that I have observed and perceived." As Daniel stepped outside, it was as if he were breaking free from the confines of an underground bunker. 17 missed calls and 43 texts from Amanda cluttered his phone, each message a journey from desperation to veiled threats. "Daniel, where have you gone? It is imperative that we have a conversation." Officers arrived at David's residence. "What words did you share with them?" "I am capable of elucidating all matters. Kindly make a call." "You fail to grasp the true nature of the situation unfolding before you." The concluding message. "Should you choose to disregard reason, you must accept the repercussions that follow." Daniel sent all the necessary information to Santos before heading to the base for an emergency leave. Colonel William Brooks granted his approval without hesitation. "Is there a crisis within the family?" "Perhaps something along those lines. Depending on how things unfold, I might find it necessary to extend." "Look after yourself, Captain. The armed forces look after their own." Daniel dedicated the afternoon to carefully packing Amanda's belongings into boxes. 6 years of intertwined existence distilled into mere cardboard boxes tucked away in the garage. At precisely 4:17 p.m., the doorbell chimed, cutting through the stillness of the afternoon. Peering through the peephole, Daniel caught sight of two unfamiliar figures. A towering figure clad in a tailored suit of fine fabric, accompanied by a woman whose silver hair is meticulously styled into a strict bun. Agents of the federal government. "Captain Halstead, meet Agent Rebecca Martinez of the FBI. Allow me to introduce Agent David Chin. We wish to discuss David Tripp." Daniel pushed the door open. Federal Bureau of Investigation? I was under the impression that this was local. Martinez explained that Mr. Tripp possesses security clearance and is engaged in classified defense contracts. His predicament has sparked apprehensions regarding possible breaches of security. In the cozy confines of Daniel's living room, Chin elaborated on the situation, detailing how David's access to sensitive military logistics information, intertwined with his personal turmoil and criminal activities, had sparked a federal investigation. Chin expressed a deep concern regarding his recent behavior in the past week. He has delved into files concerning base security protocols, personnel records, and transportation schedules, all of which bear no relevance to his designated projects. Do you believe he is peddling secrets? Martinez replied, suggesting that he is a man under immense pressure who has unexpectedly gained access to crucial intelligence. In moments like these, individuals often find themselves making questionable choices. Chun leaned forward. Captain, it has come to our attention that you have been monitoring your wife's whereabouts. Do you have any thoughts on where they could have ventured off to? Daniel activated the GPS. For 3 long hours, Amanda's lingered in stillness near Pueblo. It appears that she is in close proximity to Pueblo. However, I remain uncertain about whether she is still with David or if they have parted ways. The agents shared a knowing look. Captain, your presence is required to accompany us. If David Tripp is concocting a desperate scheme, your wife could find herself in peril, irrespective of her connection to it. What sort of peril awaits? Martinez rose to his feet. The kind where individuals do not live long enough to confront justice. The GPS guided us to a forsaken industrial complex on the outskirts of Pueblo. Desolate warehouses stand silent, their once bustling interiors now filled with the remnants of rusted machinery from a bygone era of production. The Silverado belonging to David and Amanda's Camry were nestled behind the grandest structure, shrouded from the view of passers-by on the road. The FBI tactical team advanced with a practiced precision, encircling the building as Daniel remained in an armored vehicle alongside Martinez and Chun. Through his earpiece, the voice of the team leader resonated, orchestrating their efforts with precision. The Alpha team has taken their positions. Bravo team has assumed their positions. No discernible motion. Transfer, proceed onward. The incursion was rapid, unfolding in mere moments. Constructing with safety in mind. 2 individuals are currently in custody, with no weapons discovered at the scene. Upon our arrival, it seemed that the subjects were engaged in a heated argument. Martinez glanced over at Daniel. We shall unveil them one by one. Are you ready to meet your wife? Daniel nodded, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. David stepped forward, his hands bound with zip ties, appearing as though a decade had been added to his age in mere hours, clothes creased and disheveled, hair in disarray, eyes sunken with the weight of a man who has come to terms with the magnitude of his errors. Next in line was Amanda. Daniel hardly recognized her. The refined exterior of the military spouse had shattered entirely, exposing the raw desperation and seething anger hidden within. Smeared makeup, tangled hair, and as she caught sight of Daniel through the tinted windows, her expression contorted with a fury he had never witnessed before. "You did this?" she screamed, fighting against the agent's grip. "All that was built has been reduced to ruins." Chun stepped out and made his way toward Amanda. "Mrs. Halstead, you are hereby placed under arrest for the charges of extortion, conspiracy, and for threatening a federal witness. 1 possesses the inherent right to maintain silence." Yet Amanda remained oblivious, her gaze fixed on Daniel. Seething with intense animosity. 13 years, she exclaimed. "For 13 years, I have shadowed you from one base to another, feigning joy in the facade of your flawless military existence. Have you ever experienced the challenge of beginning anew every couple of years? Is it worth forming friendships only to abandon them later? To witness other wives forge their careers while I meticulously structured my life around your timetable?" Daniel lowered the window, letting the fresh air rush in. "You were aware of my essence when you chose to take my hand in marriage. You chose to dismantle our marriage rather than engage in conversation with me. When shall we engage in conversation? Amidst your missions, meetings, and invaluable military duties? When, precisely, was I meant to inform you that I was sinking beneath the waves? Perhaps it was prior to your involvement with David. Perhaps prior to your schemes to bring harm to Megan. Megan! Amanda's voice escalated into a piercing shriek. That woman has been draining our resources for months. She would persist, unwavering in her resolve. Martina has moved in closer. Have you chosen to eradicate the issue for good? Amanda's bravado faltered, exposing her underlying fear. Our intention was merely to instill a sense of fear in her, to convey that her threats could no longer be tolerated. With what means? What about the chemicals that were taken from the base laboratory? Daniel felt a chill seep through his veins. Which substances are we referring to? Chun perused his notes.mr. Tripp leveraged his security clearance to gain access to restricted materials from the base chemical lab yesterday. Primarily industrial solvents. The type employed for the meticulous care of delicate instruments, Martinez remarked, with an air of nonchalance, about the kind that could dissolve a body. Amanda's complexion drained of color. That wasn't the plan, we weren't meant to go there. What was David thinking? What did David really believe? Is that you, Amanda? At last, Amanda had fallen silent in an instant. The fight drained from her, rendering her small and shattered. David, on the other hand, found himself in a different vehicle, his words spilling forth in a hurried cadence as he spoke to the agents. His hands moved animatedly, even restrained by zip ties, embodying the essence of a man desperate to strike a bargain. Martinez made his return.mr. Tripp asserts that the entire scheme originated with your wife, alleging that she issued an ultimatum, help her resolve the Megan issue or face the prospect of her departure. He is prepared to provide testimony against her in exchange for a lesser sentence. Daniel stood by, a silent observer as his wife was ushered into a federal transport, her head lowered, shoulders trembling. 6 years of marriage, filled with shared dreams, hushed moments, and aspirations for the future, now shattered by this criminal conspiracy that unraveled all they had painstakingly constructed. What unfolds next? They now confront federal charges. A plot to inflict harm upon a federal witness, the unlawful appropriation of government property, and the act of extortion. Depending on our findings in the communications, there may be implications of conspiracy to commit murder. Daniel shut his eyes, surrendering to the darkness within. And what of Megan? She is set to confront charges of extortion, yet it seems probable that she will secure a plea deal in exchange for her testimony. Her attorney is currently collaborating with the prosecutors as the convoy faded into the distance, bearing Amanda and David toward their reckoning. Daniel lingered in the desolate parking lot, grappling with the daunting task of reconstructing his life from the remnants of betrayal. His phone vibrated with a sudden urgency. Colonel William Brooks learned of the arrests. Feel free to take as much time as you require. Your position will await your return when the time is right. Daniel responded with a message.my sincere gratitude to you. I shall return shortly. Yet, as he navigated the winding roads beneath the fading Colorado twilight, Daniel found himself questioning whether he would ever feel truly prepared for anything again. Final reflections. Half a year later, Daniel found himself in federal district court, clad in dress blues, as he observed Judge Patricia Hendricks deliver a 25-year sentence to his ex-wife, sealing her fate in federal prison. Amanda, clad in an orange jumpsuit and bound by shackles, bore the marks of time in her visage, blonde hair cascading down, revealing the stark contrast of gray roots, a face etched with hollowness, reflecting the weight of choices fully understood. Mrs. Halstead, Judge Hendricks declared, his voice resonating with unwavering authority. A verdict has been rendered against you, declaring your guilt in the conspiracy to perpetrate violence against a federal witness, extortion, being an accessory to the theft of government property, and conspiracy to commit murder. Your actions signify not merely a breach of marital commitments, but a profound infringement upon the trust bestowed upon military families. David was sentenced to 15 years after having cooperated fully. His testimony portrayed Amanda as the mastermind behind the growing threats directed at Megan, even as he confessed to pilfering chemicals and assisting in the orchestration of what they referred to as Megan's ultimate lesson. Megan spent 4 months in a minimum security facility and was sentenced to 2 years. probation for coercive demands. After her divorce, she relocated to Arizona, embarking on a new venture by opening a Pilates studio. She had dispatched a solitary postcard to Daniel. "I am profoundly grateful for your intervention that preserved my existence. I wish you serenity in your journey." Daniel tucked the postcard away in his desk drawer, nestled beside the divorce papers and the final court documents. In the stillness of the night, when the silence enveloped the house and the weight of memories pressed down, he found himself returning to those words once more. What remained beyond doubt was that Daniel had preserved his own integrity. In the military, integrity transcended mere value. It served as the bedrock upon which all else was constructed. Colonel William Brooks had honored her promise. Daniel's position remained unfilled upon his return from emergency leave. Should his fellow officers have been aware of the intricacies of his personal turmoil, they exhibited a commendable professionalism by refraining from broaching the subject in his company. The Air Force nurtured its members, yet held them to high standards of excellence. Daniel upheld his principles, even at the expense of everything he held dear. The divorce proceedings unfolded with a ruthless efficiency, leaving little room for sentiment. Amanda, confronted with a daunting 25-year sentence, found herself devoid of any leverage regarding property settlements or spousal support. Daniel retained possession of the house, the cars, and whatever was left after the legal expenses were settled. Her final correspondence arrived in the form of a letter conveyed by her attorney. "I trust you find satisfaction in the impact you've had on our lives." Daniel remained silent. In the stillness of his vacant home, devoid of Amanda's presence and possessions, Daniel found himself reflecting on the directives that had come his way that very morning. At Ramstein Air Base in Germany, a promotion to major signifies a fresh start, an opportunity to rebuild his career free from the shadows of the past. He traversed each room one last time, cherishing the fond memories that lingered, even amidst the shadows of what had come after. Amanda serving coffee in bed on Sunday mornings, transforming the kitchen that very first weekend. The memories held a truth of their own, untouched by the fabrications that surrounded them. Genuine instances within a genuine relationship that had, in some way, evolved into something unrecognizable. The shrill sound of his phone pierced the silence. "Detective Santos. Captain Halstead, please provide an update." This morning, Amanda's appeal was met with denial. The statement remains intact. "Indeed, I understand." Daniel experienced an absence of feeling. There exists another element. She requested her attorney to convey a message. Daniel lingered in anticipation. She expresses her regret for everything that has transpired. Daniel remained silent. "Thank you." Once the call ended, Daniel completed his walkthrough and secured the front door with a decisive click. His household belongings had been dispatched to Germany. The car was sold by him. Tomorrow, he would embark on a journey to his new assignment, a fresh chapter in his life, a golden opportunity to create something authentic. As he drove away for the final time, Daniel found himself glancing at the rearview mirror, not out of nostalgia, but rather from a sense of habit. Perpetually vigilant, ever on the lookout for lurking dangers, a skill for survival that had proven invaluable throughout his military career, ultimately becoming a lifeline in his personal life as well. As the plane ascended from Colorado Springs, Daniel gazed down at the city that had been his residence for 3 years, a backdrop to the unraveling of his marriage. The mountains unfurled in an endless expanse toward the horizon, both stunning and unyielding, timeless in a manner that rendered human struggles insignificant and fleeting. In the depths below, Amanda was coming to terms with the repercussions of her decisions. In Arizona, Megan was crafting the foundations of a new life. David was tallying the years until freedom arrived, and Daniel soared toward a future shrouded in uncertainty, yet he felt an undeniable strength within him to shape it.